Yeah, it's a Pirates of the Caribbean. All right, howdy, folks. Welcome back. I told you I would be back. So here we go. Let's get this show on the road here. All right, and while we're taking a second to get this loaded up and going and this loop playing, let me take a moment to thank you guys for taking a moment of your time to be a part of this precious family. When you stick around to the spiritual report at the end, you will indeed see how precious this family is. Excuse me here, I'm trying to get a few little adjustments. There we go. That's better. All right, we are skipping data, missing data, all kinds of wonderful stuff here. So it's all jumbled and stuff. So I'm just so grateful that you guys take a moment to be here and be part of this. So let me catch this opening frame here. Okay, back it up. Here we are, opening frame. Yeah, 012 right there. You can see the instrument reacting to an old little explosion there, but let's continue on, shall we? Now you can see this coming out right here. Okay, you see the instrument reacting to this event right here, and you see all the spires that are over here on this side. Like I said, they act like compass needles pointing towards these magnetic fields as they come in. All right, we're gonna kind of go through this. Now this one fades because we have this new eruption here. This is the one we were looking at last night a little bit. Right there. Look familiar from last night. And then poof, they skip the data. From 2, we jump to 6:48. So 4 hours and 48 minutes of missing data, but you can see some of the trailing little satellites that were still accompanying that event. And we'll go over to Stereo A and check it out too. But there goes this. And then as we continue on, we jump to 14 here. And we have an event underway. Let me back up that one frame. You see this dent right here in the instrumentation? That's where our object's sitting right there. And there's the plasma that's trailing back behind it. So not a very good capture there, but we're going to continue on as it moves on out. And then we have another jump in data from 1536 to 17. And then you see the spire region over here having a reaction again. And you can see this event coming out. Another object probably right up in there. Okay. Probably another one down in here. And the two magnetic fields, a couple objects in a cluster like this will spread it out a little bit. The joining magnetic fields in like one globular effect, it looks like there. Okay, and then that event we have most of. So let me go ahead and just start this loop up. You'll see it kind of jumps around here and there. All right, but you see that last little event. Also, we're going to go over here. We're going to go to Stereo A and check this out really quick. And let's see if we can catch the opening frame of this one. All right, so opening frame here, Stereo A, still November 4th, 2024. All right, so we have a little object right here that we saw last night, a little moon or satellite, other little trailing object. We have our glitch right here with our big spread right here. Okay, over on this side, you can see this dark little round patch here. So there's probably an object there. There's probably something going on up here. You can see if you look around there for a minute. And maybe if I, if I can dim this a little bit sometimes. It helps a little bit. Yeah, you can see right up in here there's one. There's one right there. Something going on in here probably too. So there's that frame. Then missing data. Not missing data, it actually moves out of frame. Here's a trailing little satellite right there. You can see the plasma here still clinging there. And then that's it for this one. But what I wanted to point out here, okay, let me go ahead and start this loop. is look at this long spire of energy of plasma right here reaching out to something that's way out of the frame here. Okay, so this big long plasma arm reaching out like that. Let me go ahead and brighten this back up here. Is that the one? There it goes. All right. So there's your activity on the satellites for right now. Let's come on over here to Solar Ham and dive on in. Here's our solar flux indice at 242. We're still in the red. We're up 1 point. So we were coming down a little bit, leveled off here at about 240s, and now we're hovering in the 240s. We're only up 1 point. Meanwhile, sunspot number count is at 191. We've dropped down below 200 and out of the red. We're down 29 sunspots. Okay, so that's some of those little small little satellites and a bigger object that have, interacted and then are receding from the sun. The area back into the yellow now because the event's over, it looks like. So let's dive on in here. And here's your 3879, just one polarity, 3878, one polarity also. Meanwhile, there's this mess right here, this 3883 that pumped out the M flares the other day. Okay, so here we got this region, and now 3886 is this big splotchy mess. Let me zoom in as much as we can on that. All right, here we go. So let you take a little peek. There's a really tight configuration, red, blue, right there. Also, these other ones can leap over. We've seen, them reach across like this. There's a close little configuration there. Meanwhile, this whole complex over here is starting to blossom and come to life. So, very complex area over here. We'll see what happens. But meanwhile, this is the main culprit right here and right here. Okay, let's back on out a little bit here. Okay, we also have 3881, this configuration going on here, but the area in between them is pretty gapped right there, so we don't have much to worry about that. This all receding and going away from the limb there, so we're all good. Now, what I want to do is back out of this, slide on over, and scroll on down. And see how flux we are. Goes X-ray flux, that is. Swimming pools and movie stars. All right. So as you can see, we've had a bumpy day there. Started off with our not long duration, but it's mid duration M flare right here. Some bumpiness through the day. Little M flare there, 5.5 or something, I believe. And then we're going into the next day with some activity already here. Now, I don't think we'll be able to see this flare, but we could possibly see a little bit of this. That's as if you guys want to, and if they have the data up there, because just because that thing's blue doesn't mean we're going to get all the frames anymore these days. But since you don't want to see it, we're going to do it anyway. And as you can tell, here's our event underway here. And we're going to go through this a couple frames at a time. There's the opening frame right there. Scroll just a tad. All right, here we go. Event coming out right here. Boom, boom. Over here, look at this little ribbon of plasma coming out, this little tear down the middle of it kind of effect. Oh, that almost looks like a little ship there. More so than one of our objects, our stellar cores. Yeah, that almost looks like a little ship moving out. If you guys looked up into your clouds, you would see a lot of activity going on up there and a lot of ships moving in. You thought what you see in the headlines is scary? Wait till you look up. All right, so there's your activity right there going into the next day. This little event here looking like some kind of, well, let's just say a craft or whatever, interacting with the sun. You can come over this instrument too and be the judge of it. You can mess around. I'll let you be the judge of this. But if you turn your head, keep your head to the left about 45 degrees so this looks level to your view. Tell me what you see there. That sure looks like a ship squirting out. And what I'm going to do is put it into motion, but we're going to slow down a little bit. Let's go right there. Yeah, come on. That's not our normal activity. That's a little ship squirting by there, interacting with the sun. I'll let you be the judge of that. Like I said, you can come over here and check it out. Meanwhile, back to our activity. So there's your little event right there going on. And what I saw there does not surprise me since I've seen this activity my whole life. Okay, moving on to our 3-day geomagnetic forecast. We got clear for the next 2 days, the 5th and the 6th, which is good, but watch out here on the 7th. They're calling for a G1, and that's where we're going to get clipped by that CME we saw the other day. All right. Meanwhile, X flare potential 35%, your M flare up to 80. Here's your M flares for today, the M5.5 and the 3.7 earlier. All right. What's this one? They're not even registering that one yet, I don't think. Yeah. That might be this latest 3.8 right there. Yeah, I think that might be this latest 3.8. Okay, moving on. You can see our auroras are pretty healthy right now. No yellow, but we had this little event right here, a little bit of energy we absorbed, and then it tapered off. We're coming to life again here at KP03, but not too bad. Meanwhile, over here, 3883 is the beta gamma delta, and it's still growing. So that's the region I was just showing you that we have to watch right there. Also, we got to watch this 3886, the other patch that's coming off the limb, because it's beta gamma and growing. Okay, so got a couple of spots to watch. This one's stable for the meantime, so that's good. Now, after initially stating in their 1230 update that the CME associated with the M3.8 flare would be a complete miss to the east, NOAA and SPUC are now showing that perhaps the extreme edge of the plasma may deliver a glancing blow by November 7th. The cloud may, sorry. This is supported by updated imagery. So we were looking at this last night, but we'll come over to this instrument in just a second. Really quick, long duration M3.8 flare was just observed at 3883 in the southeast quadrant, peaking at 140, and somewhat of a coronal mass ejection may be associated. So let's do some track-a-lacking since we're a-lacking the track, and here is your near miss right here. Just brushing the sides, but what I want to do is bring you over to this one, get this one loaded up really quick, and we'll talk about timing of the impact. Even though it's not a big event, some of these have been surprises. The big X flares barely do anything, and then these little ones that barely clip us, all of a sudden just surprise out of nowhere. So we're looking at impact just a little bit after the 7th, right there is what NOAA's saying right there, okay? So we'll use this later on in our weather report, okay? So just after the 7th, the changeover at the 7th, okay? So let's back on out of this. We cleared all that up. We're good to go. Let's come on over here to spaceweather.com. The geomagnetic storm watch. NOAA forecasters say that the minor G1 class geomagnetic storms are possible on the 7th when a CME is expected to graze Earth's magnetic field. The CME was hurled into space by an M3.8 class solar flares from sunspot 3883. Okay, solar max in the sun's southern hemisphere. We talked about this last night. In our location, according to the sun, we're not right at the sun's equator. We're positioned just a little bit south in this region here where all these sunspots are happening. And we talked about that last night. Oh, thank you, Chris. I'm trying the best I can here. This is not easy. All right. Thank you, though. It's encouragement helps. back to what you're looking at here. Yeah, this has been quite a little ride that we've been on since this started grinding here. Okay, we had this activity, release of pressure slowly over time, kind of come back to continuity, or at least trying to here. And this is not really giving good coloration as to what, there we go, what it really looks like. Because right in here, where our 7.83 is for our continuity, it's blue. It's not really green. It's not the dark green line that we're used to seeing right through here. So our 7.83 gets a little weak, turns a little bluish right here. You see this little gap right there where it's dark. So that's where our magnetic field got a little weak right there. Now we came back to life, putting along, and then whammo, this big streak right here. Now this is going off the charts. This is starting from 0 going past 40 hertz, okay? So all of those frequencies were super intense all at once for, well, a good hour long right there. So imagine sitting in the electric chair and being electrocuted for an hour. And then you come out of it and you're feeling a little wobbly, a little woozy, and then a little scraping again, build up a pressure, relief, build up a pressure. Then we get weak again. Look how weak it gets right there. And this is where people get agitated, irritated when the field is weak. I've said this many times, possibly for new members. The Russians put cosmonauts up into space and they forgot to include the 7.83 frequency. Well, the cosmonauts lost their minds and went mad or insane and got violent and killed each other and attacked each other in the capsule. Okay, and it was because of lack of the frequency. So when you get this lack of frequency, it can be irritating. You could be agitated, easily irritable, in pain. And this fluctuation from normal to intense, normal, intense, normal, intense, hardly anything, back to normal, a little more intense, is just this roller coaster ride on you, on your body, and on your emotions and stuff too, going on in the background without you, while you're just trying to go about your day. Okay, and this is also an indication that pressure had built up. It got really strong, pressure built up, and we were grinding pretty good there for an hour until we had some good release of pressure that was a sudden release too, because it went from grinding really hard, unless this is an interaction with one of our magnetic fields. But this could be, like I said, one of these incidents where we started grinding for a while, built up. The core and the shell are, well, not locked up, but they're just squealing really hard. I liken this to, do you guys remember these wooden bird whistles from back in the 70s and 80s? They were a red cylinder with a metal plunger or little metal type screw effect where you pushed it in and twisted it and it would chirp like a bird. And the harder you pushed it in and the harder you twisted it, the higher the pitches and the louder it would chirp, right? This is the same effect going on down below in the core shell. The core being the metal screw part that you would twist, the shell being the wooden part. And when you twist those two together, you get these not high frequencies, but you get these frequency emissions. Okay. And that's what's going on right there. This one's so strong and just so quick to come up. It didn't like build up and then taper off. This might have been an interaction with a smaller little magnetic field, because these are readings that are bouncing off the ionosphere. Now, if something other, like a small stellar body with a smaller magnetic field, interacts with our ionosphere, well, this instrument would detect that, and we would see a similar type of event like this. So either way, it could be from pressure down below and we're squealing, or this could be just a quick little blast from a passing magnetic field. Whew. All right, let's get on over here to Null School really quick. Pop this open. All right, really quick here, you can see our intertropical convergence zone right here is still away from the equator. Air from the southern hemisphere is coming up into the northern hemisphere about 15 degrees latitude higher than it should. And you see this blue line right here is your convergence zone. You can see over here that it's even creeping up higher than the 15-degree latitude. It's going up just a little bit more, being pulled over here by this storm. Once it makes it up past the equator, gets sucked up into this storm, then it's going to get pulled up into the middle of the country, up into there. So you see this configuration, like conveyor belt type structure going on here. Okay, so there's your intertropical convergence zone coming up to here as well on this side. Not so much over on this side anymore. All right, now let's get on in and get on up in elevation, because over here by the Philippines, we got another typhoon brewing. See that? And I showed you the other day the little hot patch off of here. It was starting to form a storm. Well, here it goes again. Meanwhile, up in here, look how big this storm is getting right up there. That's getting pretty gnarly. But you can see that we have this oscillating flow that's taking it right up to the coast, running it down the coast and back out. So it's shunting a lot of these storms up north and keeping this area kind of clear. Whoa. Is that like a frog? Like a frog-like spirit? All right. So we come on over to this side. Look at your little conveyor systems pumping away. Okay, now we're going to put on the sandstorm particulates, sandstorms here. Take off the wind patterns. You can see the wind patterns, how they're drawing the sand out. And you can see how these are coming down, splitting, and keeping the sand from going north. It's keeping it in this horizontal path. Whoops. Take the wind off. All right, so here comes this big, straight little bar of sand coming straight off of Africa, right across the Atlantic right there, and into the Caribbean. Maybe it's right here. Oops. All right. So you can see these big sandstorms coming off. They also quell the cloud top height and keeping Hurricane Genesis down to a minimum. Oh, these wavy lines. Oh well. Bear with me for a second here. It doesn't like this color either. But as we come on over here, you can see that it's up here in the Caspian Sea as well. We have this sandstorms going on. Oh, I should have just left it alone, huh? Or it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, so there's all your sandstorms and everything going on there. I think it's this. All right, so there's all your sandstorms going on, even creeping way up here. See these arms reaching way up here to the Arctic Circle? We got sand going up to Iceland. Look at this. Do you see this? Sand from Africa has reached all the way up to Iceland. Okay, so if I told you, yeah, we got sandstorms that are reaching all the way up to Iceland, you would say you're crazy. But here we are. And I'm still crazy about you. All right, so there's that. Let's get on over and do our SO2 report. Now, this is sulfur dioxide, not carbon dioxide. All right, so vaporized magma, basically. This gas is super hot, comes out of the ground, and we have our country divided. One side, very porous crust, very spongy-like, lots of perforation, so the gas is just pouring out. We have some flooding in this area here that's kind of blocked up some of the holes, but once the flooding's receded, then it'll start pouring out gas. Meanwhile, the other side of the country, more rocky type granite surface with perforations, volcanic style perforations in the crust. So there's your country divided. Maybe in a couple of days, we could be a country united. Now, this gas comes out of the ground so hot that it sparks fires in surrounding vegetation. So we're going to take a little peek at any kind of fire activity tonight. A little bit up here in Canada, but not too bad. It had traveled down into the lower 48, but a lot of that activity has diminished now. Okay, and if we look here, we got a pretty strong site right around the Bay Area that could be relieving pressure in that region as well. Okay, a couple other little sites here, but no fires really to report on tonight, so that's good. Fires will be tomorrow night, probably. Ooh, that was a bad joke. All right, meanwhile, we look down here. We have some SO2 emissions going all the way through Mexico. We have Cuba, Jamaica, Dominican Republic. All of these islands are volcanic islands, so they're all emitting SO2 as well. Every time we get around energy from the sun, it gets transferred down to the core. And then the core swells and heats up. The magma surrounding it swells and heats up and pushes to the underside of the crust and comes out through any perforation it can. So these are all like little pinholes in a balloon or a bicycle tube that relieve gas. Pressure's coming out through these little vents. We come all the way down through South America. You can see this area. We'll check in our fulcrum point, nice and dark purple right there. The other one's still pretty organized, pretty strong. So that's been the going rate for a while here at this spot now. Meanwhile, you can see very dark emissions, very strong emissions out of there, and the plume that's blowing out into the Pacific. All right, so there's your SO2 for today in the Americas. Stop off at Hawaii for a Mai Tai. Stick my feet in the sand and the water. Relax for a minute. All right. A lot of SO2 emissions out of Oahu. As long as there's not volcanic activity there, that's good because a lot of people live on that island and we don't want to see that. So mainly volcanic activity at Hawaii. So the Pacific Rim, being much like a bicycle rim, has a hub. So pressure comes out at the plate boundaries and right in the middle at the hub. So we come on over to this part of the world. We adjust for their time zone. Then we come out of this and we see that China is still very dark purple. These ribbons are turning into like fissure-like type structures over here. So every time SO2 comes out and then they get rain, rainwater runs back down into that little shaft, eroding it away. More gas comes out, eroding it, water back in. So it's just eroding away this spongy type crust over here. Then we have India following suit. They have the Himalayas in the background. This gas gets pushed up against the Himalayas, won't cross over, so it recirculates and concentrates in that area. Now for our region over here, they are in hot water. There is a lot of SO2 emissions starting to really pop up and come to life in this region. Okay. You can see all the different sites coming up into Europe and everything. We had 4 little dots. Well, let me come over to a different spot. We'll do that another time. Let's check in at Java here, where we have volcanic. This whole island's one big series of volcanoes. So many SO2 emission sites here. So good gauge. It's our relief valve. A lot of SO2, not too dark tonight, but it's still alive and kicking. Australia has a lot of it. We come over here to our deep quake region where we have pressure from down below. Come up here in our deep quake region around Fiji. Our plate boundary system comes up through here, and we have this island just off of it right here where it relieves pressure sometimes. We see pressure enter the volcanic system here into the plate boundary system. And then when it reaches this point, this island acts like a little, like a little relief valve in itself, relieving pressure as it comes through that region. Okay, so take note of that for later. Now let's get on into our ocean sea surface temperature anomalies for yesterday, because this map takes a minute, the data put together. All right, this whole region up here, you can see as we're transitioning into winter, a lot of cooler water is trying to enter this area and change the temperatures, but we still have a lot of these volcanic events that are on the floor of the ocean still producing a lot of hot spots. What you're seeing is peppered effect, little spots getting cooler, little hot spots and little cold spots. All right, so they are dividing up as we transition into winter with our colder waters, trying to inundate this hot patch. Okay. Let's check out the Pacific coast over here. Now, we had quake activity in the Juan de Fuca not too long ago that relieved pressure, but now you're starting to see this little spot right here grow in intensity and in coloration. And then we got this little patch right under the Juan de Fuca, right where it comes off here. So just below the plate boundary right here, a new spot has opened up. So we're going to see probably less quake activity through here because we have two little spots that have opened up. Pressure transfers to these new paths of least resistance. So when something new opens up, pressure in the area transfers to it to, leak out of the region. Now, down here at LA, this whole red patch has almost disappeared. Look, there's one little small remnant right there. Meanwhile, that was all yellow up in here is diminishing, and we got a new yellow patch growing down here. Okay, so changes happen when a new spot opens up, pressure transfers. We see, different configurations changing. This triangle shape type structure is starting to kind of fade and go away. All right, meanwhile, over here on the Atlantic side, look up here in the Hudson Bay, just really, really hot water up in there. All along the coast here, you can see we have these cold water, hot water right next to each other. There's going to be a vortex rotating around this area pretty soon. Hot, cold, hot, cold. Okay, then we look out across the Atlantic. We still have this patch over here, pretty hot, but things are kind of simmering down a little bit. We still have some heated areas right in there. All right, now what I'm going to do is put on the winds really quick here. No, you dummy. The winds. Then the wind. There we go. Okay, hot air rises, cold air rushes in to replace it. These are your air currents, your conveyor belt type structures that are being controlled by the thermal anomalies on the bottom, on the ocean floor. You see this hot contributing to this. So we have heat growing in here off the coast of Alaska, right in the Gulf of Alaska there. We got heat growing in that region. And then it's causing this big vortex right there. So we haven't seen, the other night when we were doing microquakes along this island chain, there wasn't many. And now look, we're having heat and pressure, or heat in this area from pressure down below. Something's going on here right off the coast of Alaska now. And you can see it's causing this big vortex to rotate like that. When we saw this storm on the map, this is going to transpose into wintertime. When we have volcanic activity underwater and in wintertime, that's going to cause some pretty intense winter storms. All right, so there's your conveyor belt structures for that side. Let's take a little peek over here on the Atlantic side. Okay. Ooh. These rotating vortexes like this cause weather to come up through the Caribbean, through the Gulf, and then straight up through the country. Okay, and we have this flow that's going up through here, colliding with cold air that's coming over this hump from Canada and mixing and colliding in this area right in here, and that's where we're seeing all of our severe weather. And this is the reason why, because of these thermal effects happening here in the water. You see our little hurricane starting to rotate right here, and that'll come in later in the weather forecast tonight. So let me take off the winds. Oh, really quick, we want to check Taiwan here. All right, so look at this cold water right here trying to reach in there and inundate. Meanwhile, the yellow that's still here at the southern part of the island, still there a little bit. There's still some yellow here at the northern part of the island as well. So we could still use some good quake activity here at the fulcrum point to relieve some of this. Okay, I want to also, oh, geez, look down here by Sumatra. Look at all this yellow going on around this region now. And down here around Java and everything is getting hot. Got a lot of these spots opening up around here now off the coast of Australia. This whole ribbon up in here. All right, let's put the wind on there really quick. Okay. Take the wind off and we will leave it. Come on over to do our earthquake report now. Bear with me while I open up the page. How's everybody doing out there? Yeah, big eruption in Indonesia today. We're going to talk about that when we get to the volcano report here. You guys are awesome. Okay, here we go. Bingo, sunlight, close, get that up there. Start over here in our deep quake region, Fiji here. One more is good. All right, so hopping on in with the 4.4 down at 602. There's your mid-range 4 activity that we're used to seeing, pretty deep down at 602. Just south of that, we got another mid-range 4, 4.6, a little higher, but down at 501. We also have a 4.3 down at 463. Okay, so 3 good mid-range 4 deep quakes right there. Bring pressure to the surface. And here we see your 5 at the surface. It's not on the plate boundary. It's right along the flank of this little volcanic ridge right here. So 5 energy at the surface because of these deeper quakes here. All right, nothing really further down that plate boundary. Coming on into here, no big quake at the front. We got this island relieving pressure. We come up past that and we get our 4.5 down at 248. This isn't at the surface. This is your mid-range 4 magnitude at a volcanic feature. Okay, that's pressure. Earthquake activity on a volcanic site is an indication of pressure down below. Another deep quake region right here. Let's just see. This might be the plate boundary. No, 4.4 down at 136. Another volcanic feature here, just off the plate boundary. You see these little seamounts that are running underneath the ocean right in that area. Okay, so volcanic or earthquake activity at a volcanic site. Coming up here, 4.9 at the surface. What do you do with 4.9s here, especially when they're at the surface? There's your 5 energy being at the surface. Here's a fulcrum point quake on the southern part of this little structure. So your 4.735 fulcrum point just off of it, right on the shoreline right there, or underneath the shoreline right there. So little fulcrum point. We would like to see one up in this area too. But we'll take whatever kind of activity we can get relieving pressure in that region. Meanwhile, over here where we saw our city on the ocean floor last night, a 4.7 at, what does it say? Volcano Islands. Earthquake activity, volcanic island at the surface. That's another indication of pressure down below. And hey, don't mind all these little structures on the ocean floor that all kind of go in a row. It's just an old neighborhood. Okay, close it on out. Right here in Tokyo, right in Japan, 4.6 down at 70. Okay, so some pressure going along this volcanic island right here. coming up in this region, shaking it around a little bit. All right, let's come on over. No Fulcrum Point quake, nothing along this boundary, nothing up here. All we have is over here at Greece, we have a 4.8 down at 82. This whole big little nose type structure that comes out here, you see a plate boundary running along the ocean floor of it. There's a big cliff face right here that comes up with some islands sticking out. This big nose type structure right here, picking the nose over here. There's a 4.4 down at 82. Have to watch this region. This really deep water right here. We have something going on there and there. Yeah. Everybody just watch it carefully, especially when the sun acts up. All right, I think we covered most of the places. Let's get the rest of this done. 4.2 at the at El Salvador along the Cocos Plate there. Need to get this one. 5.0 down at 39 right there. Quick little magnitude check around the Dominican. 3 point, that's good. Fulcrum Point, 4.5. Good. Now let's get into America. 1 day, all magnitude. Nothing at the Fulcrum Point. We have 5 different volcanoes going off in this region right here that are relieving a lot of the pressure. So we haven't seen a lot of earthquake activity along there. Microquake activity, 1 small one right there. Other than that, we got a 2.2 there. So this whole area, you see this shallow area right off the coast of Alaska right there? Okay. Here we go. This whole region is getting hot under there. Pressure's building. We haven't had enough earthquake activity in there, and now you're starting to see a heat plume here off the coast of Alaska. Let me remind you, we're going into winter in the northern hemisphere. This should be colder water, not hotter. Okay, so we've had a little transfer of pressure, and now we're seeing this region up here in Alaska, up here, getting our heat signatures. So don't be surprised if you start to see bigger earthquakes, more earthquake activity in this region here in the near future. Very small magnitude along fulcrum points. This is the biggest one with a 3.4 up at the highest point of the fulcrum right there. Nothing along the Juan de Fuca except right here at our fulcrum point again, 3.2, Ferndale, California at the surface right there. We're also seeing earthquake activity at the flank of Mount Rainier. Earthquake activity at the top of Mount St. Helens. That's indication of pressure down below trying to make its way to the surface. We've had a new round of pressure coming in, shaking things up a little bit. What was this one again? 3.2. Okay, that's good. Take that all the time. So 3.2 comes in. You got a little bit of inland push right here. It's not much. Our geysers. Whoa. Our geysers. Hello. Where did the geysers go? They just totally shut down. That's a little unnerving. .1 here, 2.2 here, and at 1.4. We've had a new little opening here, a new little path of least resistance that's kind of covering the place of the geysers for the moment. Right off the coast here, 2.2 or 2.4, sorry, very close to the surface right there, right on the San Andreas, right outside of San Francisco. Let's come over here. Let's come over here. Let's come into here. We have this region right up here, just north of the bay, this little spot right there. So this little spot out here, ooh, look at that little seamount right there. Wonder if that is where, no, it's a little further south. Anyways, down in there. So that pressure down in there, quake, or, coming to the surface here at the San Andreas, shaking it loose here with some 2 magnitudes all the way down. All right, good. It's relieving pressure. Quiet around this region today. Very quiet around here too. We got a 2 out here in Indian Springs. Now our teardrop type structure right here, right on the cusp of it, right along the edge of it, 2.3 here in Muscoy, California, and a 3.1 in Onza, California. These other ones, 2.8 and 1.5, all of that to there, all together relieve a healthy amount of pressure in that region. And you can see that this whole area that was all red and yellow has diminished now. So that's good. Quick little magnitude checks over at man-made perforations, 2.0 there, 2.6 there, and 1.8 there. Oh, really quick, let's pop into Hawaii. 2.2s. So magnitude 2s here, they're not microquakes. And then offshore here, we're seeing more of this underwater activity. 2.3s all around that whole area right there. Something going on there. A little seamount starting to form there. Okay, and I think that covers the whole planet. All right, good, good, good. Now let's move on to our volcano report, because this is where we're going to see a lot of this energy being relieved. Now, up here you see 36 erupting, 33 in warning. That's 69 total. I don't even count these 26 in unrest. So 69, roughly 70 volcanoes erupting or active. Okay, now all this started happening to me about 7 years ago, and back then we only had 1 volcano. And if I'd have told you back then, 7 years from now we're going to have 69 to 70 volcanoes, you would have said, Brian, you're crazy. Well, here we are 7 years later, and I am still crazy about you. That's why I do this. Whew. Get into it. Here we go. Karaminski up in the Kamchatka up there. Explosive activity continues. 10,000 feet out of Karaminski. Canlaon eruption. 11,000 feet. Sorry. IBU at 8,000 feet. Luitobi, here we go. Luitobi had a blast of 10,000 feet today, and quite a blast that was. Semeru, every day going off on the island of Java, maxing out. It was 14, now it's pushing its 15 max, so it's maxing out. That's an indication of pressure down below. Here's Marapi, just on the island across on western Sumatra, having 12,000 foot. Kono, 8,000. Fuego, 15. Songay, 19. Reventador, 15,000. Sabancaya, 21,000. And that was just in the last few minutes. Okay, here's November 4th. I didn't even read November 4th yet. That was just in the last few minutes, because if you look over here in my clock, it says 12:15, and it just turned the 5th. So all of that just happened recently. Okay, now as we get into the 4th, which is today and is now yesterday, because, well, time flies when you're having fun with your family. The map of insanity should not even exist. Ugh, can't even look at it. All right, let's get to business. Stromboli, the National Institute of Geophysics, says a stronger than usual explosion took place. How high, though, is what we want to know. Karaminski, 10,000 feet today. Sakurajima, 7,000. Uh-oh. Quick break for an energy drink. All right. Tsunosejima known. Leon, 9,000 feet. IBU at 10,000. Wow. Ibu, a 2,000-foot height increase. Luatobi Flores. This is the one, 6,000 feet. This is our new little activity spot. Pushing 6,000. Unfortunately, at least 10 people have died following the recent strong activity. The eruption caught many people in their sleep during the night. The eruption caused homes to be damaged in the district, resulting from lava bombs and ash. Here it is, Luatobi Laki Laki. Can we see that one without your little ad? Oh, guess not. Or maybe you were. Let's move on. Flight level 40,000 feet. Okay. That was the one we saw yesterday. 40,000, a 28,000, and a 6,000 foot blast. Killed some people. Oh, too bad. Semeru in East Java, 15,000. Ducono, 10,000. Popocatépetl, here we go. In Mexico City here, 22,000. Santo Guido, 15. Fuego, 16. Reventador. Sabancaya, 22. Namira Gira. All right, a lot of tall heights there in the last few days. Here are the lists of insanity. Everything on the left is currently erupting. Everything on the right is active. And every time we get a little impulse from the sun, these guys go fully active and jump over here. And these ones just continue erupting and higher plumes. Okay. That is just on the land. Imagine twice that much underwater. How many squares do you see? Yes, 7. Okay, let's get into our weather, our tropical tidbits. Now we have so many contributing factors to our weather with ash emissions, higher water content, or higher water vapor content in the atmosphere or in the air in the first place. All those contributed to higher water totals, larger hail, stronger storms, higher cloud tops that produce stronger storms, bigger tornadoes, hurricanes. The whole gambit is intensifying. Meanwhile, here we are, current conditions, the nighttime of November 4th with this QLCS running through here. We talked about this the other day and how dangerous this time frame would be, and here we are, and we're seeing dangerous weather through that region, caught some people off guard and done a lot of damage, and is going to continue to flood that area as these storms continue to train over the same region. So there's the morning time of the 5th. Everybody pay attention in this region all the way through the night and into the morning. There's your noontime, convection tomorrow, and then nighttime. Morning of the 6th, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 7th, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 8th, noon, convection, nighttime. 9th, noon, convection, nighttime. 10th, noon, convection, nighttime. 11th, look out over here. Morning or noon of the 11th, convection, nighttime. 12, noon, convection, nighttime. 13, noon, convection, nighttime. 14, noon, convection, nighttime. 15, noon, convection, nighttime. All right, so as we kind of go through this is past our window of being accurate, so don't let some of that stuff spook you. But what we did see there was a good change from yesterday's into this right here. As soon as this is done by noon tomorrow, well, there's still little remnants of convection tomorrow. So all the way through tomorrow night and even possibly the morning of the 6th, then it should kind of calm down. So no, it didn't really change much. This was forecasted, but right now my concern is this very moment and through the next like 24 hours in that region. Even if you don't see a lot of tornadoes or whatever, there's lots of heavy water amounts that are coming down in that region. So you're going to be seeing a lot of flash flooding in that area. Then we have this little thing approaching the coast there. We'll see what happens. It kind of diminishes and gets sucked into this thing. And that's all subject to change too. So we'll see how that changes and how it plays out. But for right now, my main concern is the current conditions here in the central part of the country. And then tomorrow's structure through that area as well. All right. So everybody in that region, just keep your eye on the weather. Prepare for flooding. You know, if you have culverts or little creeks or ditches or any kind of like V-shaped formation in your backyard or water runoff in this area, you might want to clear it out, clear out any debris so it doesn't back up, you know, make way for water. You can't stop water, but you can channel it and funnel it and direct it. So, you know, try to, you know, clear out your culverts. Maybe if you need to line them with rocks so they don't erode. And then if you want to direct something in a certain direction, carve out a ditch, put a wall there, put rocks, change the direction of the water. You can't remove it, direct it and funnel it. Okay, so that's it. Our solar astrophysics, our Earth in volcano geophysics, and that's a lot going on our world, and we need a break from it all. So everybody take a deep breath and get ready for the metaphysics of how you work. Okay. And I think one of the best things for you guys to look at for the moment would be something along these lines right here. Let's see if we pop this one open big time. All right, there we go. And I think what I'm going to try to do is pull back this a little bit, like that maybe. All right, so you guys can sit there, take a deep breath, look at that, and know that it's all for a reason. It's all going to be okay. Going through a process. Okay. Then we're going to pull up my page. Actually, that didn't work too well. Let's just go back in there. And pull up some stuff to read to tonight. I got some very good stuff for you guys because I know what you're going through. I labeled this the day before because there's that movie The Day After and all these kinds of... Everybody's always the day after. Why is it... Can't we head it off the day before? But that's the way things go. All right, cool. Let's get this.
Notice something forming in the clouds. What looked like a
Just
face.
a little bit where we zoom in here.
And I'm gonna start zooming.
There we go. That spot right there is a good one. So we got this image pulled up here. Let's back out of that and go to our standard ones right there. All right, you guys, you're gonna be okay, but it's spiritual warfare out there, so you're gonna have to endure. And we got all kinds of tools that we use to endure, including Jesus. We include Jesus in our life, and then the tools work. So we got that showing you the Holy of Holies, the love that is all coming from love. Okay, that's another reminder too. Remember, all this is coming from a place of love. So, what was the other image I was going to pull up? Oh, yeah. Oh, we got a
If you want to know
political
someone
citizen,
cares about
and I don't want you to have to hear her voice, so we will mute that. And then Birdie Sin wants their little ads over here. We can click out of it and get to business. All right, there we go. You can go. Let's just do this video really quick so you guys understand this real event. Sorry, can't click backwards in a video either, can you? That's something about this season. Can't watch a video, can't click forward, go backwards without having to revisit an ad. Another one. And you can't click out of them. You can't skip them.
Star Sky video.
Just play it.
We'll talk about it when we get to that point. Here we go.
All right.
It just looks so, I don't
You see
know.
that?
It says December 21st, 2023, 1:45 a.m. Murray Callaway out of Kentucky. And then something about, and he says right
This
there,
is not an app.
here, let me listen to what he says.
It's a face. Everybody's out here.
It's 1:45.
Everybody's out here looking. We're coming out here to see. Oh, whatever. I gotta get this. Y'all see that?
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Now, hold up. Let me zoom so everybody can see it. Nice. Zoom on it. Hey, y'all need to call somebody. Yeah. Tell them we're out here, what we're looking at. Now, y'all see this. You see it, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there it is. That's a nice,
Woke him up.
crispy face. Hey, somebody got another phone? I don't want to be the only one recording this.
Start recording this, Roger.
That's
Trying to get it here where he's enhanced it. And there we go. Thing about this event is it's my face. My face keeps showing up all over the place. In the clouds, by the sun, by the moon. So here's my face. And then what happens here is this happened during one of these shows while I was doing a reading. At that time of night, we were doing this part of the show when this guy was out videotaping this face next to the moon. And all this stuff is happening, well, because of who I am and my presence here. That's the whole thing, my presence here with you. Where I've gone ahead and made a place that where I am, you may be also. Okay, so we're going into tomorrow, probably the biggest stressful day of the year, 4 years, possibly for everybody here. So I know there's a lot going on in your heads. And it's important that you relax and relax in my healing presence. As you spend time with me, your thoughts tend to jump ahead to today's plans and problems. So bring your mind back to me for refreshment and renewal. Let the light of my presence soak into you as you focus your thoughts on me. Thus, I equip you to face whatever each day brings. This sacrifice of time pleases me and strengthens you. Okay? So, when I say thank you for, your moment of your time, you are indeed sacrificing your time so it brings refreshment to your mind. It brings renewal. So let the light of my presence soak into you as you focus your thoughts on me. I equip you to face whatever each day brings. And this sacrifice of time pleases me and especially strengthens you. So do not skimp on our time together. Resist the clamor of the tasks that are waiting to be done, because you have chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from you. Okay, so as we go through this is a matter of trust and believing me. Okay, been through all kinds of crazy stuff because nobody believed me. Right, all they had to do was come over here and take a peek for just a moment, and they would have found something very important. Right? Don't you agree that it's important that you take a few moments to believe me and come to me with a teachable spirit that is eager to be changed? You see, a close walk with me is a life of continual newness. So do not cling to old ways as you step into a new day. Instead, seek my face with an open mind, knowing that your journey with me involves being transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your journey with me involves being transformed by the renewing of your mind. So as you focus your thoughts on me, be aware that I am fully attentive to you. I see you with a steady eye because my attention span is infinite. I know and understand you completely. My thoughts embrace you in everlasting love. I also know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. So give yourself fully to this adventure of increasing attentiveness to my presence. Increasing attentiveness to my presence. That means you're becoming more and more aware that I am here. My presence. You're becoming more attentive to my presence. Okay. What else do I have here? Okay. So when you know that my presence is here, and you are in my presence right now, because I went ahead and made a place that where I am, you may be also. So refresh yourself in the peace of my presence. Now, this peace can be your portion at all times and in all circumstances. This peace can be your portion at all times and in all circumstances. So learn to hide in the secret of my presence, even as you carry out your duties in the world. I am both with you and within you. I go before you to open up the way, and I also walk alongside you. So there could never be another companion as devoted as I am. Now, because I am your constant companion, there should be a lightness to your step that is observable to others. So don't be weighed down with problems and unresolved issues. I am your burden bearer. In the world, you will have trials and distress, but don't let them get you down. I have conquered the world and deprived it of power to harm you. In me, you may have confident peace. Confident peace. Not just a kind of iffy, wishy-washy peace. Confident peace. Refresh yourself in the peace of my presence. It's a lot of trust, and I want you to learn a new habit. Try saying, I trust you, Jesus, in response to whatever happens to you. Pretty Sounds pretty easy, but very hard to do, especially when you're not liking it. So I want you to learn this new habit of saying, I trust you, Jesus, in response to whatever happens. If there is a time, think about who I am in all my power and glory, and ponder also the depth and breadth of my love for you. I want you to ponder the depth, the breadth of my love for you across the universe until the end of time, and then beyond that into eternity. Okay? So, when you sit there and you look at that, or ponder the depth and breadth of my love for you, when you do that, when you sit there and contemplate that love, that simple act, that simple practice will help you see me in every situation, acknowledging my sovereign control over the situation. And when you view events from this perspective, through the light of my universal presence, fear loses its grip on you. There's a lot of fear going on right now. Wouldn't you like that fear to lose its grip on you? Well, when you view events from my perspective, through the light of my universal presence, fear loses its grip. Adverse circumstances now become growth opportunities when you affirm your trust in me, no matter what. So now your adverse circumstances are no longer adverse circumstances, they are now growth opportunities. The simple practice will help you see me in your situations. It will turn your adverse circumstances into growth opportunities when you view things from my perspective. When you receive blessings, when you see these things and you receive these blessings gratefully, realizing that they flow directly from my hand of grace, your continual assertion of trusting me will strengthen our relationship and keep you close to me. Okay, we're building a relationship. You cannot rely on religion. You can only rely on a relationship, and your continual assertion of trusting me will strengthen our relationship and keep you close to me. It will keep love in your heart the closer you stay to me. So learn this new habit of saying, I trust you, Jesus, in response to whatever happens. Even tomorrow, even the day after tomorrow, and if you didn't get the results you like, and it didn't turn out the way you thought it was going to turn out, I want you to say, I trust you, Jesus, no matter what. It sounds easy, hard to do. But when you do it, you do attain that confident peace that transcends your circumstances. Your adverse circumstances are growth opportunities. They're not adverse. You're growing in becoming a child of God. It's a painful process. It takes a lot of hard work and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but you're going to be the child of the Most High. Okay? You want to hang out for eternity with the coolest dude in the universe, it's like a character test and a test of faith. Wouldn't you want to know your friends intimately well so you could trust them, right? Same process. All right, this is all really happening. This all started happening to me 7 years ago, about 13 days before the Revelation 12 sign. Okay, and I went into detail about all that and how that's gone, and how that happened. I'm not trying to impress you. I am simply giving you a testimony of my life and what happened to me and what I have learned along this journey. Okay? These tools that I have learned along this journey have come in very valuable for me. And I know that they can be very valuable tools for you as well. Okay. What you're looking at is my face in the clouds with the crown above it. This is my face coming in the clouds with power and great glory. When you look up and you see this, you see my face caught in the clouds here, and you're fascinated and you're intrigued by what you see. You are caught up in it like a good book. You're caught up in a good book. You're caught up in a good song. You are caught up with me in the clouds. And when you see me coming in the clouds with power and great glory, and you're caught up with me in the clouds, you realize that we have met in the air of cyberspace. I cannot come over to your house right now and give you a big fat hug. I would love to. So I meet my family in the air of cyberspace, where I have gone ahead and provided a place that where I am, you may be also. Live here right now. Even in replay, it doesn't matter if it's live or not, it is still in that moment, even in replay. So you could come back to these and replay it and still be in that moment. Do you see how it works? Okay, this is how you get caught up with me in the clouds. You are raptured. Your faith has been complete. You cannot see this face if you do not believe. A lot of people look at this and go, I don't see it. I don't see it. They tilt their head and they go, no, I don't see it, just clouds, because they don't believe. The moment you do and you see it, all of a sudden it makes sense, doesn't it? And that is the foundation that you can rest on, that you can lean on, that you can build on, that you can have trust in, that you may gain courage from, so you can go out there and salvage your days and not live in depression and just utter misery. Okay, especially with what's coming up, it might be a very bumpy ride. Okay, and that's why I continually bring you these tools so that you may use them during the course of each day to salvage your day and to bring that light into other people's lives. They're going to need it. You're going to need it. It's going to be hard going through it yourself while trying to help others. Okay, so that's where we work on just salvaging a day best you can. You know what's going on now. It's more than just a sideshow or whatever. This is a real thing. You're really being tested. You're really part of this family. When you believe me, when you trust me, that's how you gain membership to this family. It's pretty simple stuff. I've been through a lot. It's been a very painful process. I don't want to talk about it too much, but it's worth it, okay? Especially when I see you guys getting results, okay? When you put these principles into practice and you see these results in your life and you find that peace, that confidence, that trust, that's the result I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. It's for you. I do this for you because I love you. I miss you. And until my next show, I will be back. I am already back. Can't you tell? You should be able to. That's why you're still here. This show. I love you. I miss you. Hang in there. We'll do a show tomorrow to relieve everybody's tensions and everything. All right. So just remember, it's all part of the process. I love you all. Until tomorrow. Bye.